Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Reinvented. We're the show that has no name yet. I am your host, Lynn George, professional career coach, speaker, and trainer, aka Chief Meaningful Work Officer. And I'm excited about tonight because tonight it is an episode, the very first episode with a guest speaker for the Reinvented series. What is Reinvented? Reinvented is all about helping aspiring female leaders reinvent themselves for the work that they are made for, the work that they feel called to, the work that they know in their heart that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how I'm supposed to be leading. And so, my guest tonight, she is a wife, a mom, a grandmother, pastor, educator, and a servant at heart. She has a heart of gold. And she's also has been a friend of mine for the past 20 plus years. I want to welcome Dr. Iana Harris.
Hello, Lynn Joy.
Hello. I might have to take off my glasses. How you doing?
I'm good. So good to see you.
Oh, I'm excited. It's good to see you. It's good to be on this live with you. We are broadcasting to my Facebook community of career changers for purpose driven women. We're live streaming to YouTube and we're live streaming to my business page. And so, Dr. Harris, Iana, I know you as Iana.
Yes, just call me Iana.
Listen, I'm excited about tonight because I know in our private conversations we've had, it's always powerful. Like I always walk away inspired, empowered, and I'm not just saying that, there are true words. Before we dig deep, um, before we dig too deep into the conversation tonight about your reignited stories, I want you to let our audience know, give them a little background of your career, where you've traveled from career wise.
Awesome. Please thank you, Lynn, for this is an amazing opportunity. I have been watching you from afar and up close, and I am honored to sit here with you. I wish I was sitting with you in Texas, but it is a blessing to be sitting with you tonight, and I am too
Thank
excited. I
you.
am. A little bit, let's see. I am a graduate of the University of Florida 2 times over, go
Yay.
Gators.
Go
And
Gators.
when I started my career, I majored in education and started my career um, as a program coordinator for a statewide scholarship fund for teachers. So we were specifically looking for minority teachers. And that's how the first time I got bit by the higher education bug, if you will. I taught elementary school, I've taught preschool, I've done ministry with junior high students. Praise the Lord, God bless those who work with junior high. I've served in, listen, I've served in different capacities, but I found such a passion when I started working at Santa Fe Community College at then, but now it's a state college, and we were working in enrollment services, which included admissions as well as academic advising. So
Mhm.
that was beautiful. So that's where I really started finding the passion for advising students into their future, if you will.
Mm, mhm.
And so did that at Santa Fe, relocated to Jacksonville, where it's considered home for me, and started working at Edward Waters College. So we had the state college experience. I had the large, predominantly white university experience, and then moved to the HBCU experience and was a director of advising there, and started doing things and had been doing things with first year experience programs and
Mhm.
the college success courses, and had the honor to write some college success curriculum as well as be a part of the inaugural year of First Year Florida. So it was the first year that the university started college success. So that was big. Um, I stepped away. I went over to the University of North Florida, which was a smaller, predominantly white institution here in Jacksonville. And
Mhm.
then I stepped away from higher education for about 10 years. And then I felt a tug to go back. I had been low key advising people on the side, if you will, high school students, people who had never gone to college, adults, um, lifelong learners, to continue to pursue excellence in education. So that passion kind of started pulling on me. So I reached out to my dear friend, Ms. Lynn George, and we started some conversations about how to step back into that atmosphere and environment. So
I
that's what.
want to stop you. I want to stop you because you have a very rich background as an educator. You
Mhm,
have taught, you have been in higher ed,
mhm,
you have been in senior level positions in higher ed, but then there was a 10-year break,
mhm,
right? There was a 10-year break. I want to pause and I want to put a pin there and
mhm,
really for us to dig into the word reinvented.
mhm,
Because in that 10-year span, you did a lot.
mhm,
You did a lot and then came back,
mhm.
right? Like that very
Right.
last conversation you and I have had, that was a real rich conversation about your comeback into education.
Mhm.
Um, Tell us about those 10 years. What did you do? Like what was life like, right?
Mm,
Not just career wise, but
yes.
what was like your personal life like and how did that play into where you are now?
Wonderful. That is literally probably the best part of how the reinvented works in my personal life. Um, when I was in higher education at my last institution, my life fell completely apart. I
Mm,
was what I would call a hot mess. And my professional life looked amazing. I was excelling in my career. I was doing well. I was making a difference and changes with students and even
but
traveling with the university.
Dr. Harris, truth be told, I mean, we all are a mess, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
if we're
truth be
honest,
told, if we're honest. Okay, just go on. I just want to make that point.
if we're honest. So, well, while my personal life fell apart, I made the biggest error that I could make as a professional. In my mind, it is on the top of the list of big errors. And I had to leave higher education. It wasn't even a, you know what, I feel like leaving higher ed. I feel like leaving my job. It was, you have to go. And
Yeah, yeah.
that shook me. That shook my whole world because I was Iana, the academic advisor. That's who I was. I had identified myself as that person, and that was
Mhm.
my identity. And that is what started uh, the bottom. It started the pit, if you will, the you got to get your life right kind of moment. Mhm.
So I want to pause there because a lot of times, when I know for me in my personal experience, when we feel that call, that tug, and when we know, okay, not even just the call, but when we know who we are, that identity, what we've been
Mhm.
called to do,
Mhm.
as far as a profession,
Mhm.
but then we mess up, that tends to send us a spiraling, right, like we give up, we don't go back to it, we give up on that part of
Mhm.
our identity of
Mhm.
the thing that we've been given,
Yeah.
but you didn't. How did life
Right.
prepare you in those 10 years?
What's crazy, Lynn, is I gave up. I honestly thought
Mm,
I thought I would never see higher education again. I was certain that God could restore every area of my life except that. I was
mm,
convinced. I was like, well, I'm gonna be here forever. And what I did personally during that time is I literally had to find out who I was. I had a master's degree from the University of Florida. I was a mother, I was a wife, but I had no idea who I was. So
mm,
I spent intense time between counseling and therapy. I spent time learning new skills to how to deal with life and my mind and who God called me to be, not just as an academic advisor, but as a woman, as a wife, as a
Mhm.
mother, as a minister. I had been doing these different things, but not really impacting even myself. I could speak a word to you or speak encouragement to you, but not even to myself. Like I believe the words for you, but not for me. And
So the first thing that you had to identify or come to grips with was who you are.
yes, 100%.
Identity.
And it was not a fast trip. And I think that's
Mhm.
what happens is that we get so discouraged that, well, I've been trying to get myself together, I've been doing this. And for me personally, I had to stop trying and I had to yield to the process. And that that yielding, that submitting to what the growth looks like is hard. It is
Mm.
sometimes unmanageable, but I yielded. And what I did was I sought wise counsel.
Yeah.
I, I had
Yeah.
I had to trust wise counsel, but I had to find out who wise counsel was first. Because
That's good.
there can be people in your life that have been through things and that are good and they say they love you. And it's not that those people don't, but not everybody knows how to love you in the dark place. Not
Yeah.
everybody knows how to speak into your life because see, real friends don't co-sign your foolishness. Real friends say, sis, you need to get it together. Real friends come alongside you and say, I'm not leaving you here. So come on. I might have to drag you out, but I'm not going to leave you here.
I keep hearing this theme,
Hmm.
even again with my own personal life and talking with people and having these type of conversations. That one of the things about understanding who you are, and people might think, well, that's boo boo. I know who I am. No, not really. Um, is you have to come to grips with the truth until we come to grips with the truth about the things that are not so good, not just the good, because it's easy to accept the good, right? It's easy
Oh,
to accept what's good about us. It's easy to acknowledge our strengths.
yeah.
There was a
Hmm.
book that I'm reading or was reading by Brene Brown. It's called The Gifts of Imperfection. And she talks about embracing strength and struggle.
Mm,
So it's
yeah.
not just the things that we are good at, the things that make us who we are, the great people or person that we are,
Hmm.
but it's also though the ugly is what shapes us, is
Hmm.
teaches us what we need to unlearn.
Yeah. I was told this on Sunday, and I had to write it down just now so I don't get it wrong. And our pastor was talking during a devotional time, and we were talking about storms and struggles. And
Mhm.
people always say, well, either you're in a storm, just came out of one, or you're on your way to one. And he said that the storm has purpose. You're either in a correcting storm, a protecting storm, or a perfecting storm.
I love that.
That thing shook me because I was like, wait a second. Sometimes we disacknowledge the storm because you feel like you're not strong enough for it. You feel like I'm not made for this. This is too much. And so we will walk away when it gets too hard. And I I I was like, okay, well, I can fix this part and everything will be good. And it wasn't until I yielded to the process and took the time and studied and learned not just about my career, not just about the Bible. When I took the time to learn about Iana, that was a
Yeah.
game changer. It's a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is about the call of Abraham. I go back to that story. I've been going back to that story for years and years and years. And one of the things that always struck me is when God called Abram,
Hmm.
the first thing that he worked on Abram was his identity. And when
Hmm.
I look at that, I think about where Abram came from, the family,
Hmm.
his heritage, right? Where he came from, but how he had to leave all of that
Hmm.
to embrace another identity. So
Hmm.
when we are going through this whole process of, being reinvented, for the call or the work that we feel like we're made for. There's a process for that. I
Yeah.
know that as a career coach, many women, probably 9 out of 10, that come to me, they are purpose driven, and they are driven by a work that they feel like this is what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And so in that process, you talk about identity. What is the Let's talk about then the next step in that. After identity, what else is there that we need to know?
Mhm.
Aspiring ladies, female leaders need to understand about being reinvented for the work that they're made for.
I think one of the things is to not just you have to hold on to what you believe is the promise or the purpose in your life. Um,
Mm.
that same story, Abraham, God had to repeat himself about what he promised to Abraham consistently. I promise I'm going to make you the father of many nations. When it seemed dark and Abraham wanted to take things into his own hands, I promise I'm going to make you a father of many nations. I promise this. And once we grab a
Yeah.
hold to what it is that we're supposed to do, we grab a hold to the promise, we grab a hold to destiny. When you
Mm.
when you look down the road and you see destiny on the horizon, that can change the game. But we sometimes have to get it repeated to ourselves. I don't know how people do things, but I have to have words visibly sit around me to remind myself, you're made for this.
Yes, yes,
You're made.
yes. And you know what? And one word that came to mind was conviction.
Mm,
When we remind ourselves about what we are made for. And I
mhm,
keep saying made for because I heard Steve Harvey say, your career is what you get paid for, but your
mhm,
calling is what you're made for. And that's my specialty.
sure.
I want to help you do the work that you're made for.
Mhm,
And part of that is helping you get and understand
mhm,
that belief you have to be driven by a conviction that
for
this is
sure.
what I'm made for,
For sure. For sure.
right?
Yeah. It when that happened for me was when I was in the application process. And I know that everyone on here has been through the applying for every job everywhere and getting tired of typing stuff in. I'm like, you can't have a universal application. Why do I have to keep putting my education in? And when I got to the place where I wasn't going to just put in applications to be putting in applications, even to get my foot in the door, because there's nothing wrong with people who do that. But for me, I didn't want to apply for jobs just to be applying for jobs. What I had to understand was that I wanted to go into academic advising and student services. I didn't want to go into finance. That period, point blank, poo. I said, I'm going to go into student services, academic advising. If it didn't sit in that realm in a position description, it wasn't for me. I didn't apply for it. I kept pushing. And that is hard. That wait, as you're combing through every school in your area, I had a rotation every 2 days. I went to every website in the area to see, did y'all post another job yet? Y'all put, and I'm looking, and there were things that I probably could have done just to get in the door per se, but I knew, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be a tutor. Nope. I don't want to do that. I want to be in student.
Yeah.
I want to teach college success. I want to teach students how to be successful as they pursue their future. So no, I don't want to do that.
This, every time you say that, it gets me. I cannot find the words, and I wish I could. Listen, I can that process resonate with me. I've been there. Um, what do you tell someone that, say, Iana, but I understand all that, but I gotta eat.
Oof,
I
honey,
got I gotta eat.
sometimes
So
you have
there's
to
that
hold on.
conviction. Yeah, there's that
Yeah,
conviction, and but yet I gotta eat.
yeah. It taking a job temporarily, like doing a job while you're waiting on your career and your purpose to manifest. That's what you got to do because you got family to feed, you got kids to take care of, you got daycare bills, you got tennis shoes to buy, you have all of these things,
All of
but
it.
you cannot move into a place where you become comfortable in a place that you're not meant to be.
Come on in here and say
Because
that again. Say that again for the
you
people in the
can't
back.
become, for the people in the back, you can't become comfortable in a place you're not meant to be. Now, you can work your whole self and never give less than excellence in a space, even when it's temporary.
Oh my gosh. Bloom where you're planted.
Because if you're planted for a season at McDonald's, you better be the McDonald's worker. Say, good morning, welcome to McDonald's. What are you having today?
Come on in here.
Because
Oh
you never know who's going to have to speak on your behalf. Because when you references are a real thing, your current position is a real thing. So when someone wants to contact someone to understand your work ethic, they want to know some things about who you are. They're calling the people that you worked with. They're calling the people who supervised you. So if you were lazy on this job, you have to be faithful over a few things before you become ruler over much. So what does your faithful look like? What does excellence look like in this season? Now, what you don't stop doing is pushing. Don't stop.
my. You don't stop pushing. And you know what? You don't stop. I think, I was thinking about what you said, and part of your process is, part of what I teach is branding, right? And part of what you have actually shared with us is branding. What
Hmm.
people don't understand about branding is that it's really just you, how you live your life. It's your reputation, right?
Hmm.
Your reputation is on the line, even when you are in a temporary role.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
reputation is on the line. So what you do is all speaks to your brand,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
I remember. I remember years ago. I I said, and I didn't think of this till this moment, so I appreciate this. Years ago, I remember making business cards and deciding I was going to be an educational consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm going to find some things that I can speak on as a speaker, things I can teach on, things I can facilitate. Um, and I was going to do it. I lost sight of it. But then I get reminded, my mother used to call me Dr. Baker. That's my maiden name. My mother used to call me Dr. Baker. And I used to brush her off because I was tired of school. I was like, nah, I'm not doing another degree. I'm not doing another degree. But then something started bubbling and I was like, hold on a second. Because sometimes the degree isn't really for you. It's about the access it will give you. And we have to become women who educate ourselves. And it doesn't mean that you have to go to a 4 year university. It even doesn't mean you have to get a whole degree or a new degree. But what are you going to do to sow into your own future? Whether
Right.
are you going to take some classes? Do you know how many free things are? Do you know I'm the girl who will go on to everybody's free something. I took a free class this summer um, at Troy State University. I was so happy they offered this free class, and I took it like I was a full-on student at Troy. You couldn't tell me. I went on Monday when they dropped the
Love
stuff.
it.
I was in there taking notes because I said there's something that I want to get out of this. There's something I need to know and understand because I had to study because if I'm branding myself, what am I branding myself to be?
See that. See, I'm sorry I had put my hand all up in the camera like that because I wish I could reach out and touch it. What are you branding? I put down there at the bottom, branding your purpose. What people do not understand that when you're branding your purpose, it looks different from, matriculating through college for a degree and a career, right? Branding your purpose is really about you getting prepared
Hmm.
and setting yourself up for the work that you want to be known for. Like, and guess what? You're dropping gems as an educator. Part of how we brand ourselves is how we educate ourselves.
For sure, for sure. It's for sure. And uh, I was thinking about this last night because you and I have been talking about
Hmm.
it, and we've been talking about this reinventing all of this. And I sat with my husband, and we were talking for a good amount of time about reinventing. And we talked about people who we've seen reinvent themselves just on a national level. Will Smith, to me, is one of the best reinvented people ever. You started rapping with Parents Just Don't Understand, and now here you are making movies at the top of the list. So that's a whole nother thing.
That's a
But
whole nother thing. That
I
I
was
love it.
yeah, coming out of what people knew you as. See, sometimes people are going to always believe that you'll be that girl from the projects. Because when Lynn and I met, here's a secret for you.
Come
When
on
Lynn
and
and I
tell them.
met, we were in what's called Majestic Oaks in
Yes, ma'am.
Gainesville, Florida. We met as two single mothers. We both had small children. Um, we were on all welfare. We
All
got
of it.
we got a check. We lived in the apartments. I think I paid $24 for my apartment.
Hmm.
We had childcare for $0 because we made $0, and
Right.
we started way from the bottom,
All the way
all the
from the
way.
bottom.
And and when I look at my sister, I look at her, me and Lynn, when we have conversations, that's what we rejoice in because people may have tried to keep us in this state of mind, in this place. Yes, you're the girl on welfare, but see, I didn't have to stay her to be who I am today. And part of that is that branding. But one of the things I
Yes.
thought about last night was while you're working on your master plan, sometimes you got to make your moves in secret. Some of us tell too much to too many people.
Come on and
Because,
teach them.
like we said before, people will not want what's best for you all the time. And it is hard to vet your circle. It's very hard because, see, your circle gets smaller and smaller. Miles Monroe has this, look this up later, the principles of an eagle. And Miles
Mm.
Monroe talks about the seven principles of an eagle. And one of the things that is most powerful to me out of all the things he said was eagles fly alone. You've never seen
Mm.
a flock of eagles, have you? You never see a flock of eagles. So sometimes your process and your purpose will be a very lonely place. Nobody will understand
Yes.
what it is you're trying to do. They won't understand why you're coming out of this very comfortable job. Like you've got a good government job, girl. Why are you going to leave that job? You've had security in this job. You're advancing in this job, but it's not purpose. So I've got to go. Whatever that is, sisters who are sitting out here watching this, if you've been feeling the tug to do something different, it's time to do something different.
It's time
Sanity is
to do
doing
it.
the same thing over and over and expecting a different response. If you're not changing your mindset, if you're not changing what you're doing, you will not reinvent yourself. And reinventing means that you basically do something that and it becomes something that's entirely new.
Hmm.
And that's crazy.
Oh gosh, I said in my copy that, listen, you don't want to miss this because she's going to be dropping gems, and that's exactly what she's doing because I have no words. When God is branding you for your purpose, as Dr. Harris has mentioned, it looks like nothing else that you've ever seen.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
when you're going through that process, as you mentioned, Iana, you have to sometimes be quiet because sometimes you don't even understand. Today I was thinking my last traditional job, because I started Lynn George Consulting 2016. I was doing that alongside of my full-time job.
Mhm, mhm,
In my last role, I left as a director
mhm,
for career programs.
mhm,
And I remember thinking, I was thinking today, sometimes even the things that we deem as bad is an answer to prayer. I
Amen.
lost that job.
Hmm.
I lost that job.
Hmm.
But when I tell you I had no qualms about losing it,
Hmm. Hmm.
none,
Hmm.
no worries, nothing about, well, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that, nothing.
Hmm.
Because right before I left, probably about a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month,
Hmm.
I found myself in my office at oftentimes journaling. Like it would just come random. And it was
Yeah.
about my next role. It
Hmm.
was about my purpose, the work that I truly wanted to do, because my desire was, God, I want to work from home.
Hmm.
I was literally crafting
Hmm.
and designing the way I wanted to work.
Right, right. Lynn, there is a book that I recommend to you and all of you. I think we talked about it before, but there is a book by Mark Batterson called Chase the Lion.
Oh, yeah, I got that book.
And when I read that book, we read that as a leadership team at our church, and I was shook. I was like, hold on, what is my 500-pound lion? It's based on the story of, I always say his name wrong, and my friend is going to kill me if I say it wrong, but I think it's Benaiah. And he goes down, it's like the simplest verse. He goes down on a pit in a snowy day, chases the lion, and kills him. 500-pound lion is a dude in the snow back in the Bible days, so he's not geared up. And
Hmm.
it talks about the book walks you through chasing the lion in whatever that lion is. And one of the things that has really stuck with me is, what is the legacy that I will leave?
Mm.
As even as I sit here with you, I think about, what is the legacy that I'll leave to women that I will never meet? What is the
Yeah.
legacy that will go on in my children, in my grandchildren? What am I leaving to them? And am I leaving a legacy of, I really had something bigger to do and I didn't do it? Am I leaving a legacy of something that's not just what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And some of us sit and say, I don't have a purpose. That's not even truth. And
Mm-mm.
when you are called to something, like you were saying, being called to something is so different than just doing a job or doing work. Like when
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, I at work, I just started my new role, and I'm at work trying to. I'm making flashcards up here, trying to learn the technicalities. I'm up here asking for work to do so that I can understand how to do what I do. Like, I know this part of advising because I've been doing this a long time, but I know there are pieces of this job that I need to be able to do what I'm called to do, and that's help people. Like, I
Yep.
know I'm in the ministry of helps. Everybody different, it may look different for you, but it's how passionately are you going to chase that lion into a pit and take him down,
Mm.
whatever that is.
I love it. I want to acknowledge some of the comments. Um, Latoya Randolph
Hey,
says,
Toya.
don't stop pushing. Misty Dawn says, this is good right here. Diane Cochran, if I mispronounced your name, please forgive me. So good.
Hey,
Uh,
girl.
yes, Diana. Big facts. Big
Listen, I
facts.
love Diana. Diana is, she's like, listen, this is for me. I'm here for it.
Yes. We have so run out of time because I appreciate your time, and I don't take, you know, time lightly because we have so little of it. Everybody's like super
True.
stretched and busy right now. Iana, thank you so much, and I want you to leave us with some last words about talking about being reinvented, and talk to the women out there, and even the women that are on this live. Thank you so much for joining us live, and for those of you that will be catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay in the comments and let us know that you were here. Iana, leave us with some last words, will you?
Fear is the biggest obstacle to purpose and success. don't be afraid, sis. Like, don't be afraid. You're built for this. Like, you have to understand that you're built for it. Like, whatever it is, no matter how far off it seems, you're built for it. You're made for it. Just go get it and be persistent, be consistent, fight for it. Fight for whatever
Yeah.
it is. And find someone in your circle who can be an encouragement to you in the times when you want to give up. Find a sister who will encourage you and say, get back up. We're doing this. Let's go. Find somebody so that you can walk out purpose. You can leave a legacy. You gotta do it.
Iana, thank you so much. And with that, until next week on Thursday, I don't know how I'm going to come behind this one, but I'll do my best. Until next week, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
Bye
you,
for
Lynn.
now.
Bye.